Has your child ever done anything that has left you completely shocked? 1. I had the flu a few years ago. My sons were 2 and 3, my daughter 5. I woke up in the morning and it was 10 a.m. I was horrified. I had slept in with my kids up and only me there. I rushed out of bed and fell before I reached my bedroom door because I was so sick. I looked up to see my daughter and neighbor. My daughter had woken up first, my husband already at work. She changed both the boys' diapers, which she'd never done before except on her stuffed animals. Got cereal for herself and the boys. Got everybody dressed and marched the boys next door to the neighbor's house to see if they could watch the boys so she could take care of me. My neighbor, terrified that I was super sick, came and checked on me and ended up calling into work and staying the day so I could sleep and get well. 2. I was watching a movie Wonder with my son. That's a movie about a little boy with facial difference which made him wear his space helmet so others won't bully him at school. My son, 3 years old, asked Mom, "Why does this boy wear this helmet?" Me said, "Well, because he is a little different than usual." I tried to explain without much digging into details. "But Mom, he is just the same as all of us," my son replied. I was left speechless. His tiny little soul really sees no difference on this boy's face. For my son, he is just the same as him, and I just wish it stays that way forever. 3. My 8-year-old son shocked not only me, but everyone that was in the hospital room when his younger brother was born. It was one of those moments you wish you had a video recording it would have gone viral. It was in 2017 when my wife gave birth to his younger brother. My wife started labor around evening on a Friday, so we had to ask one of our friends to take my son as the hospitals do not allow children to witness the ordeal of labor. Besides, he was sleeping when we left the house. Lol, he was 5 then. My wife eventually gave birth in the night and I asked my friend to bring him to see his younger brother. The next day, my son came while one of the nurses was in the room for the regular round, so she took the baby and placed him on the cot some few meters away from my wife. My son went quietly to the cot to look at his brother while everyone else was engrossed in a conversation. The nurse suddenly stopped our conversation quietly and pointed to my 5 years old beside the baby and, like a man proposing to his lover, "We heard. I am so happy you are here. Ever since you have been in my mummy's tummy, I have waited for you. I am going to take good care of you. I will protect you. I promise. Etc. He suddenly sensed that everyone was quiet and he stopped and shyly walked away from the cot. It was so brief but emotional that no one remembered to record the scenario. As everyone, including the nurse, was stunned to hear that from him. 4. Well, not my child. But my younger brother. I'm 16 years old and my brother is 7. So all of you teens, who are the elder sibling, understand the responsibility you have on your shoulders. So one day my parents had gone to the doctor, and me and my brother were left at home. That particular day, I had horrible cramps, due to periods, I was completely drained of energy, and was feeling super nauseous. Now, my parents wouldn't leave me home alone when I'm in this bad condition, but the doctor my mom was going to, was a specialist, and very hard to catch. So, my parents had taken the appointment 3 months back. They went because I convinced them I was fine and that it wouldn't be that bad, so they could go, and that's that. Now, usually, when me and my brother are left home alone, he becomes really bratty, and this day, I thought would be no different. But, this particular bratty kid, who threw a million tantrums for everything, mind you, dragged me to my bedroom and made me lie down. He pulled the covers on me, quite haphazardly, and sat beside me as good as gold. He constantly stroked my forehead, brought me warm water, and gave me his most prized chocolate. But we shared it, of course, because he thought it would make me happy. That day I saw a side of my brother which made me 100% sure he'd taken just after me. JK. Later that night, he came into my room to wish me good night, and I was already half asleep. He just came, stroked my forehead one last time, and whispered, "Take care." Man, was I proud when I shared this story with every one of my friends. Siblings seriously are the best blessing in disguise. Stay stupid. 5. Yep, my son is 2, and before this, he was never really the affectionate type, which is very different from his father and me. We are super cuddle bugs. He would very rarely hug us, but he would allow us to give him a kiss, and other things like that. He is also very shy and will not do any of that to anyone apart from his father and me, even his grandparents. We were being supportive, but trying to get him to loosen up and at least act like a kiss was not that difficult. Anyway, after dealing with this for the past 2 years, we had pretty much decided he was just going to be a standoff person. He has a great-grandfather who is the exact same way and we thought he must have gotten it from him. Well, one night I was putting him down for bed. I reached over and gently touched him on the nose and said, "I love you." He looked up at me with his big blue eyes, reached up, and gently touched me on the nose. He didn't say anything, but I could see in his eyes that he understood what it meant. Then, the most amazing thing happened. He put one hand on each of my cheeks and held my face while he just kind of looked at me for a minute. I couldn't believe it. I started crying right then and there. My little boy, who struggles to show affection to even his own mother, was telling me in his own little way that he loved me too. Since then, the "I love you" nose boop has become our thing. He now willingly gives a kiss to his dad and me before bed, and he is working on giving hugs. But my absolute favorite thing is when he puts his hands on my cheeks and just stops for a minute. Even if that is all he is able to do to say "I love you," it is enough for me. 6. Yes, not in a bad way though. When my oldest daughter was 4, her father, myself, and a couple of friends started a motorcycle ministry. We weren't sure where we wanted to fit into our community with regards to services for those in need, but we knew there were gaps. Our first year we decided to start with a coat ministry. No matter who, or how many, or how old, If you needed a coat, we would give or get you one. We really underestimated the need, by a very great measure. Anyway, for most of a couple of weeks, our front yard and the street in front of the house was filled with people needing coats. We were having trouble keeping up. We had called all our friends, every church we could, local thrift and clothing stores, and up until one certain evening, we were running neck and neck with the need. A family came to us with several children and we had coats for all of them except one little girl my daughter's size. We searched and called all to no avail. The child had next to nothing to keep her even a little warm and a vicious cold front was bearing down on us. My not quite 5-year-old daughter came to me and said, "Mommy, she needs a size 6X, or whatever it was, like mine." I told her I was looking for one. She informed me that she had 2 coats and the little girl could have one of hers. I thought that was so sweet and told her so. I went and got the girl and her mom who were about to leave. I told them as luck would have it my daughter had 2 and she was welcome to one of them. My darling took the girl by the hand to her room and a short while later, the little girl emerged, coated and beaming. We walked them to the door wishing them well, etc. As they drove away I noticed my daughter trying so hard not to cry. I asked her what was wrong and she could barely keep from wailing, "Mommy, that was my favorite coat." I asked her why didn't she give the girl her other one. What she said next just about knocked me flat. It was so wise and generous. She explained that she had given the girl a choice of the 2, because she said, when you're poor, everyone tells you what you can have instead of asking what you want. She said she wanted the little girl to feel happy and not poor in her coat when she went to school. I was stunned and humbled at the same time. 7. When my now 36-year-old son was around 2.5 years old, he came into my bedroom and told me that he had made me breakfast because I was tired. Of course I got up right away and walked into the living room. There right in the middle of the floor was a big mixing bowl with flour dumped into it and the rest of the bag on the floor. A carton of eggs with 3 or 4 in the bowl with the shells included. The milk was mostly in the bowl too. He had decided to make me pancakes. I couldn't be mad at all. It was the cutest, sweetest thing that he has done. To be honest, he had almost all the ingredients, just needed to measure them out properly.